Okay, so our app is up and running. I'll move over to a web browser and I'll access localhost 8080/employees. And boom, it works for us. So there's our data. So we're actually getting our list of employees, Leslie Andrews, Emma Baumgarten, and so on. So this is all coming back thanks to Spring Data REST. And also it's making use of this Helios format as far as the actual data and the structure of the data as it's being passed back. And also we have the metadata here at the bottom for this given page, the size, total elements, total pages, number, and so on. All right, and so we can confirm that this data is really coming back using Spring Data REST. Good job. And I can even make use of some of the links here to drill down for like employee 1. I can select this link and it'll take me to the details here for employee 1. Okay, there we go. So this looks pretty good. So Spring Data REST is up and running. So I want to play around with some other features here of Spring Data REST. So what I'll do is I'll take this URL, I'll copy it, and I'll move over to Postman and paste it in there. And check the results here in Postman, and yep, same thing. So we're getting the data back as desired in Postman also. Okay, so one thing I'd like to do is actually customize our endpoint base path, just to kind of give us a little bit more control over that given URL. So I'll open up my application.properties file and add some Spring Data REST properties. So I'll give Spring Data REST.basePath, and I'll call it Magic API. So that's the base path for the URL that we'll have for these Spring Data REST endpoints. And then I simply save this file, and we'll see at the bottom that it's reloading, which is pretty cool. And now if I swing back over to Postman, then I can access this information. So first off, if I simply use the existing /employees, it's going to give me a 404 of not found. That's because we've actually changed the actual base path. So here I have to say Magic API /employees, and that's based on that information from that configuration file. So now when I hit send, I'll actually get the data back as desired. All right, so great. So it's using our Magic API. And you can use any base path that you want here. So now let's go ahead and play around with posting or adding a new employee. So I'll select the tab here for post. Make sure that you update your URL for Magic API. And then for the body, you may already have some existing data here. You can keep it the same or you can change it. I'll go ahead and keep mine as is for Natalia. And I'll simply send that across. And then just scrolling down to the bottom, we'll see that we have success. It added that new employee, Natalia, and she has the ID of 6. So the employee ID will show up in the Helios metadata section. Just swinging over to my database real quick and just doing a quick refresh here. And so we see that Natalia is the new entry here of ID of 6. So this looks pretty good. Now we'll also go through and using a put to actually update an employee, and make sure you update your URL here for Magic API. So let's perform an update on employee ID equals 4. And so one thing that's different here is that Spring Data REST only uses the ID on the URL. So don't pass the ID in the JSON body like we did before. Only place the ID on the URL. If you place the ID in the body, it'll simply ignore it. It'll only use the ID on the URL. All right, so I'll select body over here, and I can give some new updated information. First name of Papa, last name of Ray, just again, making this up. And then once we send this across, then we should update employee ID of 4 with this new data that we provided here, first name, last name, and email. So we can kind of scroll down to the bottom. It'll show us that update for ID 4. And if we just swing over to our database, we can see our old data of ID 4 was Yuri. And I simply do a refresh here, and I'll see the first name of Papa, last name Ray. That's the data that we just sent across. So it successfully updated that given employee ID of 4. Alrighty, so swinging back in the Postman, I'll go through and delete an employee. Alright, so I'll make use of delete. And again, just make sure you update your URL here, Magic API /employees/4. So we're going to delete employee number 4. And just do a send. All right, so we have a success here. With Spring Data REST, there's no data in the response body. They simply give you a status code of 204. So that means that it was successful, no content. So this is fine. We're good to go here. So swinging back to our database, we see that ID equals 4, Papa Ray. That's our old data. Simply go through and do a refresh. And we'll see that that given employee was deleted successfully. So ID equals 4 was deleted. All right, so that kind of covers all the CRUD stuff. So we know that Spring Data REST is working out just fine for our CRUD operations with our given database. And again, we simply added this functionality by putting in the Maven dependency here for Spring Boot Starter Data REST. And again, no coding required. And in fact, we actually went through and deleted some code, okay? So this minimized the boilerplate code. So we removed all the REST controllers and all the service impls, got rid of all that stuff, and we simply made use of that Maven entry, and that will give us those REST endpoints for free. So this is great. I love it, and I hope you are impressed with it also. Good job, my friend.